Alrighty, welcome back Internet fam. Going to try a triple feature here as they all have something in common, being the unlocking of the brain's potential in one way or another. Limitless and Lucy both do this via experimental drug, while Phenomenon use the old mysterious light in the sky trick. For me, these films hint at a possible level of lucid waking, though perhaps not quite as sensational as is portrayed in these films. I feel like there are still some things we could relate to in this journey of what I would describe as intentionally evolving in consciousness. In Limitless, Bradley Cooper plays a struggling writer named Eddie. Early on, he runs into his ex-brother-in-law / drug dealer, who hooks him up with NZT, which does wonders for Eddie's life. When he first tries it, the initial effect is sort of portrayed as having a sense of being out of body, and he's able to not only not react to his landlady berating him, but is also able to be really honest about why he's so unlikable. Perhaps when tapping into these levels of hyper-awareness, one can't help but speak the truth, even the uncomfortable bits. He's also able to recall long-forgotten information from college to help in writing her paper. It would appear this drug has caused a complete shift in perception of reality, especially with his line, "At first I was blind, but now I see," which is a quote from the Bible in John 9:25. One of the first things he does is clean his apartment. After all, cleanliness is next to godliness. He goes on to describe how NZT curbed his addictions, saying, "I wasn't high, I wasn't wired, just clear. I knew what I had to do and how to do it." Perhaps you've experienced something like this yourself, when you were having what felt like just a really good day. No outside issues causing anxiety or internal turmoil from some feeling of lack or disconnection from life. And like Eddie says, you knew what you needed to do and how to do it. And more importantly, you were willing to do it. He spends the rest of the day and night making headway on his book, but after falling asleep, he wakes up normal again. Once he gets his hands on more, he's able to get his life back on track. He cleans up and starts taking better care of himself, as well as branching out beyond writing, saying math became useful and fun. We witness him finishing his book, learning piano and French, saying, "I suddenly knew everything about everything. All my fear, all my shyness was gone, but mere lounging wasn't enough. If I wasn't moving forward, I felt like I was going to explode." It would seem he's become addicted to life. For some, this could relate to the idea of hustle culture, or what's described as getting into the zone, though obviously it's a whole other experience when it's fueled by something like a drug. Sort of like how some people rely on various substances for creativity, like it's happening to them, instead of you sustaining the feeling through sheer will. He continues with, "I knew what I had to do, and it wasn't writing, it wasn't books, it was much bigger than that." It's interesting that much of what the drug does is discard ego limitations like fear and the tendency to avoid discomfort of the work required of us when pursuing one's passion. But then when he gets through those goals, he has a new sense of what's really important. Fame and money for creating entertainment via books or movies isn't it, which is why he's shown later campaigning for New York senator, saying it's time someone shook up the free world and got things done. Being limitless isn't just what he can remember or do in the short term, it's completely opened him up to previously unseen directions in life and the impact he could have on the world. After getting back together with his girlfriend, she's reading a news article about his newfound stock trading success, saying he's Houdini, he's a prophet of our times, he's God, which definitely feels like it's referencing the magician archetype. At one point he starts experiencing some glitching, as well as some latent self-defense abilities. This, along with the coming to 18 hours later, may hint at some higher self uploading symbolism like we saw on the 13th floor, with the whole forgetting of events. There's also a point where his girlfriend takes a dose to save her life, and she tries to reason with him, saying it wasn't her, and "I get it, you feel invincible." This may also hint at the higher self or the idea of spirits taking over when one takes mind-altering substances. After several scares from some murderous folk, he gets some bodyguards and tells them, "Don't wear the same color suit. This isn't the Matrix." Just a funny nod, I thought. considering his experience is very much like waking up within his own self-limiting matrix and becoming limitless. Another subtle hint is in Carl's speech when he says, "I don't know who wrote your life script, but you haven't earned it yet." He's unaware that NZT is allowing Eddie to rewrite his life script to be whatever he wants it to be. We jump forward a year when Eddie's campaigning and he runs into Carl again, and after a little back and forth, discloses that he was able to make the drug better and eventually get off it completely. And not only that, but he's to a point where he can more accurately calculate possible outcomes, almost like precognition, telling Carl he's 50 steps ahead of him. This somewhat reminds me of how the character Sherlock Holmes has been portrayed in recent depictions, as having a heightened ability to see the connectedness in his world, as well as calculating the likelihood of possible outcomes. Next we have Lucy, starring Scarlett Johansson, who plays an international student turned unwilling drug mule, one whose package ends up rupturing inside her, resulting in the powerful drug unlocking her brain from 10 to 100% over the span of a couple days. And as we soon see, the body has a hard time keeping up with such power. Now for a little disclaimer. Apparently the whole humans only use 10% of their brain while the rest is untapped potential is a myth, stemming from various quotes taken out of context over the years. But for the sake of entertainment, we'll stick with the science fiction. The film begins with a voiceover from Lucy saying, "Life was given to us 1 billion years ago. What have we done with it?" This sets the stage for what will become the overall message, being, are we using what little brain power and more specifically time we have as wisely as we can? Early on, when setting up her predicament, we're shown glimpses of animals, perhaps suggesting the predator-prey dichotomy found in society as well as the wild, and our tendency to remain in that survival state of getting what we want or need, even at the expense of others. Then Morgan Freeman chimes in about the brain capacity of man versus animal, explaining that dolphins did not invent sonar, they developed it, and asking, are humans more concerned with having than being? He continues with, life has one purpose, gaining time. Which may be a slight oversimplification, but certainly seems accurate, at least from a scientific standpoint, whether through survival like hunting or foraging or reproduction. Most of life seems to do it all simply so they can keep on doing it. But I feel like it may just be a focal point for the script to follow and conclude with later. I just don't like this line here when she gets captured.
Keep calm. You have to wait, just play for time. You'll have time to think it through on the plane, just take the flight. It's the main thing right now, just save time. Our life, that's all that matters, just wait. Save time.
The professor continues, saying that going through time seems to be the only purpose for cells, and to do this they have two options, be immortal or reproduce, and that if the habitat is favorable, it will choose immortality, versus unfavorable, it will choose to reproduce. And there may be something here about the world we're creating versus the potential paradise. He goes on to describe the possible changes as the brain's ability is increased, starting at 20% being control over our own body's nervous system and other faculties. As we see, when Lucy wakes up, she has no more anxiety or fear, i.e. control over her own mind. She's able to better adapt to her circumstances, and whereas later she's able to control others more directly, here she knows how to manipulate indirectly, as well as cut off the pain response from nerves when digging out a bullet from her arm. After going on to explain the other levels of awakening, he concludes saying that it's up to us to push the rules to go from evolution to revolution, which is sort of the gist of these hidden meanings. How much of our own evolution is in our control? As he put it, the dolphin developed its sonar by being, not by having. What is waiting for us to develop if we were to make such a shift? When she makes it to the hospital, she learns that the drug inside her is a synthetic version of the chemical produced by mothers during pregnancy, CPH4, and is what gives a fetus the energy to form bones. Now, though this chemical does indeed exist, I haven't heard of a synthetic version, and since DMT is also produced in the body as well as synthetically, I wonder if this is perhaps a hint at that at least. Over the course of the rest of the film, we witness the result of her brain capacity increasing beyond her control, to the point where she has to find and take more of the drug just to keep from disintegrating. And through all this, she demonstrates her various abilities. At one point she contacts the professor, telling him of her situation, saying, "I'm colonizing my own brain, and I don't feel pain, fear, or desire. All of the things that make us human are falling away." But what exactly does it mean to be human? We've heard this question in countless stories about synthetic life forms. This seems to be saying that the increase in the untapped parts of the human brain is a step away from being human. But it's the human brain. I suppose it's our fragility she's referring to. Memories are precious because we eventually lose them. Hell, just the sheer fact of our mortality has been used as a way of pointing out the beauty in humanity, being our short lifespan. The professor tells her the whole purpose of life is to pass down what is learned. There is no higher purpose, just like any simple cell going through time. Eventually she meets with the professor and his colleagues in Paris, where she delivers her revelation saying, "The things that make us us are primitive. They're blocking us. We've created a scale to forget its unfathomable scale. Time gives legitimacy to life. Without time, we don't exist. Time is unity. We're so driven by power and profit. Ignorance builds chaos, not knowledge." Afterward, she takes the remaining CPH4 and at 70% evolves into a black goo of sorts, taking energy from matter. At 80% she controls space and creates a next-gen computer. 90% she controls her position in space and time. She goes back, way back. At 99% she travels back to before what appears to be depicting the Tiamat cataclysm, which I don't necessarily support, just pointing it out. Don't at me, bro. And then moves back to before the formation of the galaxy and potentially the universe from the looks of it. After transferring all of her knowledge for the professor, it ends with a final line, "Life was given to us 1 billion years ago. Now you know what to do with it." Which I suppose she's referring to her revelation and the advice the professor gave about passing down what is learned. This last line in particular hits home for me, as I have struggled with what exactly to do with my time and energy, whether to focus on building a career to sustain my having, or to help teach others in developing their being. I'll let you know how it goes. Lastly, we have Phenomenon, in which John Travolta plays a mechanic named George Malley, who lives in a small, close-knit town somewhere in California, and on the night of his 37th birthday, finds himself the sole witness to a mysterious flash of light, which seems to have unlocked his creative potential in terms of invention and problem-solving, also supersensory perception and a dash of telekinesis, as well as just overall increase in retaining and recalling information.
George Malley, you learned the Portuguese language in 20 minutes?
Not all of it.
Something else we see in the film, as well as the others, but primarily this one, is the increase in one's capacity for love and acknowledging the importance of the characters' relationships. In Limitless, Eddie is able to admit and work on his faults, showing his girlfriend how much he cares. And during her hospital visit, Lucy calls her mom to share all the childhood memories and emotions bubbling up as a result of her increased sensitivity to the world around her. In Phenomenon, there's a bit more emphasis on the personal side of things, rather than impressive feats like becoming a senator or building a supercomputer. George is more concerned with helping his friend find love by teaching him Portuguese or reassuring a sick grandfather that his lost grandson will be found, as well as just various solutions for his fellow townsfolk. And let's not forget his budding romance with the local single mom. There's not much more hidden meaning in this one, but I thought it was worth including. All of them seem to be pointing out how important it is to use the time we have to learn in order to help improve the world, as well as the lives of those closest to us. Which is easier said than done. and is probably why the films utilize a special something to help break through the ego's hold on each character.
You're not a scholar.
I'll tell you what I am, okay? I'll tell you what I think I am. I think I'm what everybody can be.
Everyone with a malignant tentacle.
No. That just helped me get here. Okay, I mean, anybody can get here. I'm the possibility, all right? I mean, I think you've got this desperate grasp on technology and this grasp on science, and you don't have a hand left to grasp what's important.
Sure.
If I had to choose between a tumor that got me here and some flash of light from an alien craft, I'd choose the tumor, I would, because it's here, within us. What I'm talking about is the human spirit. That's the challenge. That's the voyage. That's the expedition.
But it can be done. And there are special somethings out there that can help us overcome our tendencies to want to avoid the discomforts of hard work, or learning something new, or the fear of being fully your authentic self. I have not mastered this in the least bit, but I do feel it goes hand in hand with living lucidly. And it begs the question, what kind of life is waiting for those who can overcome the ego's programming of comfort, pleasure-seeking, and pain avoidance, and actively choose in every moment to do the hard thing, even if they don't feel like it, especially if they don't feel like it, and ask the question, who is it that doesn't feel like it?
Think about it.
And let's not forget his budding romance with the local single mom. Local single mom. Local single mom. Local single moms in your local area.